Hello, I'm Niall Sebastian. I'm one of the living humans who's suffering from body sharing. I'm going to explain quickly what body sharing means. Body sharing means is ghosts, or to be more specific, creatures which have lived as human beings before, which have lost their own human body, do connect in symbiosis to human bodies in a way that they then can also give the human brain orders, and that they can influence the human body by using many different methods and in very complex ways. So I'm one of the living humans who's able to communicate with ancestors, or how people will call that ghosts, and how I described it just a second ago as creatures which have lost their own human body. I'm living a life where such creatures are connected in symbiosis to my human body, and where such creatures do influence my human body since a few years in my life. And that can be very harmful and very negative, and very painful. So let me also explain a little bit what you see here in the video, so that you'll be aware of a few more things which are a little bit unusual, maybe if you haven't seen one of my videos before. You see here two wind tools in front of me, and they do hang there because creatures which have lived as human beings before, which have lost their own human body, are able to use weather control to control the natural environment. So they can connect in symbiosis to the biosymbiosis, to biological bodies like human bodies, animal bodies, plant bodies, and they can use also weather control to present themselves and to communicate also towards you, the people which are watching the video. And that's why I'm explaining that to you. So if you watch the video, you can watch out for the wind tools and for the whole natural environment which is surrounding me. These creatures which have lived as human beings before, which have lost their own human body, they are today able to use the wind, so to practice weather control, to trigger and to canalize the wind, for example, to the wind tools or to the plants surrounding me, and they can use a higher wind level if they want to agree specifically to stuff I speak out during the videos you can find in the internet and during this video. So please be a little bit aware of that as well. So I'm gonna speak a little bit about my lifetime experience, and I want to speak a little bit about a very negative part. A very negative part people might not realize if they hear the word body sharing the first time in my videos, or in videos where the same topic is part of the video. And I think a lot of people do not realize how brutal and harmful it is for those kind of people which are really in the situation that their own human body is getting influenced on a high level by third creatures which are connected in symbiosis to that human body. And I'm one of the living humans who is in that situation, that other third creatures which are not born in my human body and which have lived as humans before in their own human body, that they are connected in symbiosis to my human body, and that they are influencing it on a high level. So I want to speak, first of all, this video gonna be a little bit crossing my private life in general. I want to speak about something what I find funny when I look outside. If I look at groups which are speaking about the angel stuff, the ghost stuff, all that, which are hyping that, I think a lot of people which are not in the lifetime situation that they are connected with such creatures on a high level. So I mean, these kind of people which cannot see very far in the darkness of that what people call also heaven. It can be hell also, it's true, by the way. So if I look to Facebook groups, I often read stuff that people just see the romantic part of it. And the romantic part of the topic in general is that creatures which are nice can also influence human bodies and can connect to them and can even live in them. So they can even connect in symbiosis to a human body up to a level that these creatures can live in the human body, can use the nerve system, can use the taste, for example, the eyes, the ears, the senses. So, but if you come into a situation, for example, where creatures which have lived as human beings before, which have lost their own human body, do connect in symbiosis to your human body, which you do not like, and where you do not want that, then you become quickly in a situation as a human which is just brutal, and where a normal life is not possible anymore, especially if these creatures then start to influence your human body on a high level. These creatures, they can trigger thoughts, they can control the way I can feel with my human body and what I have to feel with my human body. So the feelings world which is caused by my biological human body, okay, they can control and how I can see things, and how, for example, I have to feel things regarding my nerve system. So there I have to be a little bit more specific. And I'm living a life in symbiosis connected with such creatures, but where they're also connected with me, also with my biological human body since a few years. And before that, I had a normal life where I was not connected with such creatures in a way that I could see it or that I had to suffer from it. So that you, the people which are watching the videos, that you do understand that a little bit, and then you can separate that. And that's very good in my case, because I can remember in pieces and bits my normal life, and I can compare it to my life which I had to live since a few years now. So a normal life is not possible if you come into a situation like I am in. My life, since I'm connected in that way that such creatures do influence my human body, is mostly very painful. My days are filled with pain. The way how I can use my own human body is limited compared to the life I have lived before. And of course, all that pain is one of the reasons, and I mean physical pain here. I talk about physical pain because these creatures, if they're connecting symbiosis to my human body, they can cause physical pain by destroying human cells, for example, or by attacking my nerve system. So they can attack my nerve system in a way that then my human body is getting sick. And for example, with all the wounds them in my human body, even fiber is caused on a daily basis, depending on the time period I look at. If I look at the past years in my life, because of internal bleedings and all the problems you have them in your human body. If you look at me in the videos, in a lot of videos you cannot see how much I'm suffering, because I always try to be in front of the camera, at least in a situation where the people do not see that so much, because I don't even want to embarrass myself there too much, even if some of the videos, because my human body is influenced since a few years on such a high level, in some of the videos you can see that I do not look like an ordinary guy with an ordinary body function, because for example in some of the videos I wasn't able to speak out very well because my human body was so downgraded, and the possibility for me to use my human body was so limited. Also, my brain function was limited and downgraded by specific actions from third creatures which have lived as human beings before, which have lost their own human body. Okay, that's important to understand. And of course, if you live such a life, that is very brutal. It is absolutely brutal if you are in situations where you cannot explain your own life anymore to others, for example, or where you're unable to explain how you see things, how you feel things, um, stuff you want to explain to others, where you're unable, where you become a part of a situation where you are unable to speak out, to present yourself in a way how it is acceptable for yourself and not painful. You could see the wind level was triggered a lot because I went to a long time in my life where my body function, how I was able to use my human body, was downgraded so much, and it was very, very brutal and painful for me, and depending on the situation, even up to a level of being tortured by the limitation of the own human body, by the downgrades, and by the pain which was caused in the past from such creatures. So the pain levels are extremely high depending on the situation, and you can see that they did canalize a little bit more winds to the wind tools to agree to that, so that you can understand that better. You can also hear the leaves in the background, and later you will get a few camera views because I'm filming with a few cameras. So today, that's the background information I just shared in the first 10 minutes because my life is so complex. Today I want to speak a little bit about what do it mean in regard to, or if we look at relationships, for example. See, a relationship for someone like me, a normal relationship with a woman became impossible for me because of the past years of my life, because of the past years what was done to me by such creatures, because of the wounds, and also because of the way you have to see things after you had to witness what I had to witness. I'm gonna explain that to you. In a normal relationship with a woman, for example, a man in my age would kiss her. I could not kiss a woman anymore because I had to witness that other third creatures can use my human body invisible. And with that, you always have in your mind that third creatures can use your human body, for example, to them touch the woman you are in a relationship with, or to kiss her, or to do something else. So your human body became automatically the tool of potential rapists. That's how you look at that shit, huh? Even if I, as a creator, Niall, do not want to see my own human body like that, I have to see it like that because what I had to witness. For people which cannot imagine, let me explain it to you. Creatures which have lived as human beings before, which have lost their own human body, can connect in symbiosis to your human body, being in your human body, to your nerve system, to your eyes, to your ears, to your senses. If you would have sex with your woman now, it is potentially possible that other creatures which have lived as mans before are connected in symbiosis to your human body and raping your woman by using your human body. That is the level how I look at people if I walk through planet Earth, because of the experience I have in my lifetime, because of what I had to witness, and because of the creatures I were in contact with, and because of what was done to me as well. If you would have my lifetime experience, you would say a human life is not possible anymore. And that is what I think. And I would agree with that. As a human who have to live such a life with such creatures in my human body, which did use my human body um, in a way that I got raped as well a couple of times in my lifetime, so more than once. And these creatures, they can connect in symbiosis to the human brain, so they can give the human body orders. Also orders where then, for example, your brain organize sexual stimulation, even if you do not want that at that moment in time or in general or whatever. So you become I became a victim of rape too often in my life, in a way that I had to see and feel that, and in a way where I could identify the attackers. And if you live a life like that, you cannot avoid these situations. And of course, all of that is psychological, very, very harmful, very brutal, very mean. And it also leads to a situation where you look them different at your own human body as a man. And in regards to relationships with living women, it wouldn't be possible to have one without feeling raped. Because with these creatures, if they're connected in symbiosis to human bodies, as I said, they have many methods if they want to attack humans, or if they want to haunt them, if they want to stress them. They can create thoughts, as I explained, in human heads. And in that way, they always can create negative situations also for living humans, which would be in relationships. So no relationship have a chance. I, as a man, I do even like a woman on planet Earth. And I do not have the option to come even close to her, because some of the creatures which are connected in symbiosis to my human body, at least one of these creatures did communicate. She's a creature which have lived as a woman before. She did communicate that she would kill that woman in case I would need her. So, and these creatures are able to connect also in symbiosis to her body, for example, and to arrange a stroke in a second, or a heart attack, or something deadly else. These creatures can influence the human body on such a high level that they can cause illnesses, also deadly illnesses, quickly. And so if I look at my lifetime, since years it is impossible to find the solution in my own head, with my own thoughts, with my own feelings, how it should be possible to live a life with a relationship, for example, because it is not possible. That's how I look at it by myself. The idea that you have other third creatures which have lived as humans before in your human body against your will, that you then start a relationship, is absurd, because it would be nothing else than making the woman you want to have a relationship with a victim of these rapists, which are potentially gonna abuse her body more and your own body to rape her potentially. So that is how you look at relationships. That's how I look at relationships. as someone who have such creatures connected in symbiosis to my human body, in my human body against my will. So in parts my human body became conquered, how people would call that, from third creatures which do not have their own human body anymore, which did connect in symbiosis and which overtook the possibility to control my human body in parts, to live in it against my will. So they have conquered that. It is what you have to understand if you watch these videos. I got tortured a lot in my life, also with physical pain, with psychological warfare, where creatures did abuse my human body and where they were triggering thoughts or causing illusions by being connected in symbiosis to my human head to attack me, where my feelings were manipulated and triggered. I lived a life where others did attack me often, where others did create also with the kind of attacks, with the methods they used, and the way they behaved, the situation where my lifetime is just horrible for me. It is a life where you better would be that normal life. It is a life you cannot really enjoy, but you have to understand these creatures can connect in symbiosis to the human biological brain, and they can trigger the brain and give the brain orders. So which means they can also cause situations where you just see everything very beautiful, or where you're totally free of pain for a moment. But if you live that life where these creatures do that with your human body on a daily basis, that you feel maybe for 30 minutes like you would die, and you even piss blood, and the next 30 minutes you feel like a youngster being 15 years old, and you wanna conquer planet Earth by yourself. But you understand them as a human, that you have to see the difference between your real feelings, your real reality as a creature inside your human body, and all those non-real feelings which are real but which are caused by your biological human body. And then you live a life which was in parts created by other creatures, because they do connect in symbiosis to your human body, because they do create that feelings in the biological human body, that thoughts, all that, and they do influence the area where I live as well. And with that, you live from that moment on where you're connected a life where others always also decide. You cannot run away from that, you cannot hide from that, to be absolutely clear. And you cannot overcome that, because they can use third biological bodies as well, so they can influence other humans to go on your nerves, to run after you and all that. So it's very, very complex. Very complex. Right now I'm here in Frankfurt am Main in Germany. Before, I stayed in Bonn for a while, for a few years, in a horror house. A horror house because there was a woman living. She was also attacked by such creatures. She was tortured. She's suffering badly. She got mentally totally sick from that shit. And in the end, she just was screaming around to everybody. Like, she was screaming at everybody, and she was mean to everybody. And there was stress in that house 24 hours a day, nearly. That's how I felt it. So there is not a normal life possible if you are living a life where many such ghosts are in the area where you live, or many such creatures which have lived as human beings before, which have lost their human body. And if there are some of them which are mean, and if they start to harm people, or to attack people, or to make people sick, or to abuse human bodies too badly. There's also another problem I can speak about here for a second. The other problem I got is the following. These creatures which have lived as human beings before, which have lost their own human body, they like to speak to me. Like the nice ones like to do that. And the nice ones, they communicate the following to me as a living humans, what I can tell all of you, and they can do the wind later to agree to that here in the background. You can watch the wind tools as well. The creatures which are not so mean, which do not want to harm human beings, but which want also to communicate with living humans because they have living family members, they have lived as human beings by themselves as well before. Those of them, they feel often forced to connect in symbiosis to human bodies and to influence them. And some of them did even communicate in the past that they see it as there is a situation, because the most humans cannot communicate with them, where they are forced to connect in symbiosis to human bodies, even if they would see it as rape, regarding their own lifetime as living humans, which they have lived before. Got that? If not, put the video a little bit, go backwards and listen to it again, because that was very important. These creatures feel forced into a situation to connect in symbiosis to human bodies, to try to reach living humans or to communicate with living humans. But they communicate, the nice of these creatures, that they feel that they see it like that. That was done in their own human life as well, with their own human body, but they couldn't see it during their lifetime. Later they can see and realize it, and then they feel it like they have been raped during their lifetime without that they did know it during their lifetime. So the pain comes later with the consciousness and with the realization of that fact. Okay? And of course, I was also in contact in the past with creatures which are totally fucked up socialized. To spell it out easy like it is: faggots, idiots, freaks. Some of these creatures are so fucked up and mean that they just like to fly around the whole day to connect in symbiosis, for example, to female bodies, to trigger them that they start to masturbate with themselves, to rape these women with their own human body. And these women then, they're in the situation that their feelings are triggered of their biological body, their thoughts are triggered, and then they think they do decide that they want to masturbate for themselves, but that is all just caused by other creatures. So these women they're just like little machines. They just get raped and they think they do decide by themselves. I go back to the topic I want to speak about, relationships. So I'm sad, but if I look back at the past years in my life, I did realize I definitely do not want a relationship with a creature which have lived as a human being before, as a woman before. I definitely do not want that. And to be absolutely honest, regarding relationships with women, and I'm not gay, I'm not gay, so regarding relationships with women, these times are over for me. Even if I wanted to have a relationship, it's not possible under the circumstances I'm living. And that is since a few years effect in my life. And the reason are these huge problems where you do not find a solution in your head. And also where you do not find a solution with your real feelings. You do find solutions, but not like that. You find them on the maximum level, but not as a living human anymore. That is because I could see too far during my lifetime to live a normal life. regarding my past, I got tortured and harmed so much that I had to die as a living human in the past, which means that all these wounds, all these memories, and my feelings, they are also controlled by such creatures being connected and symbiotic to my human body. Because there was also the situation, if I would get everything back, including my memories, I would die psychologically, high likely, automatically, quickly, and my biological human body would die just because of the shit which was already done to me, which I cannot memorize at that moment in time. Because these memories are blocked. So, and with that, I'm as a human in a situation, even if I wanted a relationship, that's normal life is not possible anymore. As soon as some of these memories come back, a life, a normal one, is not possible anymore. It's just suffering, it's just pain, it's just waiting to die, to overcome at least the situation that I by myself have to live in my human body with that kind of feelings, and with the knowledge I have what was done to my human body, even if I always have just a little bit of the knowledge of what was done to my human body in total, because a lot of the memories are blocked. So, and also in my daily life, I also have a lot of physical pain which is coming on top, because creators which have lived as human beings before are in symbiosis connected in my human body, live in my human body, and in between they destroy human cells. I get attacked in between, my nerve system gets attacked. In my human head there is communication as well going on, which can also lead to internal bleedings. So I'm living a life where on a daily basis my human body is having little strokes, if you want it like that. How medical people would see that, depending on the situation and depending on the day. But there have been a lot of days in the past years where in my human head there were internal bleeding caused by such creatures which have lived as human beings before, which were connected in symbiosis to my biological human body. If you watch the wind tools, I requested from the creatures to produce a little bit more wind now, if they can agree to that. And if you watch the wind tools, they will do that, because they can analyze the situation and they can see, and they can also analyze the past. So, to the creatures, can you trigger the wind one more time to agree? And you can see that the wind is getting triggered, and the wind level was raised directly because these creatures do agree to the stuff I spoke out, including the stuff with the strokes. And I'm going to explain that a little bit more. And to the creatures, if you want to agree to the stuff I speak out them, you just can't trigger the wind. So these creatures, if they're connected in symbiosis to my human body, and if they communicate with me, they can create pressure. In the front side of my head is to say yes, and the back side is to say no. And that way they can communicate with me and I can understand them. But if they create too much pressure, the cells get destroyed and an internal bleeding, a stroke is the result. And to the creators, did I explain that quite well? If yes, please produce some more wind to make that clear. You can agree to the fact that such creatures which have lived as human beings before, like you, if you are connecting symbiosis to my human body, in between I do suffer strokes. So, and you can see that the wind level now is triggered. That's why the wind tool was moving more. And these creatures with the higher wind level, they do agree to the stuff. So they say, yes, that's the result of their analysis, if they're connecting symbiosis to my biological human body, and if they analyze what they do being connected in symbiosis to my human body. That's how you can understand the wind waves which were produced from these creatures to agree. So my life is often, not always, but nearly always, just too often, too many hours a day, too much pain, too much going on in my human biological body, which is feeling for me just like being raped the whole day. And you have to understand, I'm one of the living humans. Both is correct in my case. I do communicate with a lot of creatures which are peaceful as possible, which I see as nice creatures which have lived as human beings before, which produce documentations with me to reach their living family members and so on. But I also am in contact with some creatures which often do attack me, which do torture me, which do rape me and stuff like that, being connected in symbiosis to my biological human body. So that's for your better understanding. Regarding relationships, it is very easy. That's also something else I want to say. First of all, because there is a woman I love, it is very harmful and mean for me to be in that situation. And there's a long story behind it. So there is a long, mean story behind it for me as a living human, because she heard about me in a situation where my human body was already influenced so badly, where I had to suffer from too much stuff to be able to communicate with her very well, or to present myself in a way how I would have wanted that. So a very mean and created situation where third creatures did create that situation, and that's totally fucked up and mean in total. That's totally inhumane for me as a man, the situation I came into because of that shit. Inhumane is the correct word, because that is so fucking unfair, and so many reasons it's inhumane. Regarding my daily life, there are too many periods where the pain level is so extreme that other people would live in a hospital. To the creatures which did canalize and trigger the wind before, can you agree to the fact that you think the most humans, if they would have lived the past years of my life, the most humans would have called the ambulance to go to the hospital? Is that correct? With internal bleeding, strokes and all of that? If you can agree to that, can you please trigger the winds where the wind tools are, so that the people can see that clearly? And these creatures will react now. You see that the wind is now triggered a little bit more, and they're gonna lift up the wind tools a little bit for you guys, and that's what you see. That's why you see more movement, okay? And that is normal, because what I mean, it is normal that the most people would have called an ambulance and would have stayed in the hospital, because what I had to witness was so much, and my human body was harmed on such a high level in between, that an intensive care unit is the right place to be then normally. You can see that the wind is now canalized and triggered a lot, because these creatures which have lived as human beings before, which have lost their own human body, and which are able to analyze my life situation, do agree to that. So I've lived in a private house where the most of the people, if they ever would come into a situation, would have called the ambulance and would have stayed on an intensive care unit. And by the way, I'm in the situation that I'm gonna go to a hospital. It's gonna be my first hospital visit since years now, and I'm gonna go there to get better medical data also as well, regarding the situation I'm in. The problem, I come back to the question with relationships, where you also have to understand that some of the other creatures, they do attack me, so they want to put pressure on me and all that. And with that, they're also willing to attack people I like. They're willing to kill them even, or to torture them, or to cause a lot of pain in their life, or even to destroy their lives, or to destroy the lives of their loved ones. Grandmothers, mothers, whatever. And with that, as a living human, I'm in a trap situation always, because I'm an individual. I'm not too weak, so I get attacked from these creatures also because they want to mess around with me there. And I have also my own positions in this universe regarding how I see things, my own opinion, and so on, and that can lead to conflicts as well. Also, in the background, my life is a little bit complicated because there's a longer history in connection to conflicts, let me say it like that. I mean political conflicts as well. But I'm not a politician like you know him from the news. So I come back to the topic. A relationship is not possible, of course, if you are in the situation where also the natural environment in between get used to attack yourself from such creatures. So my human body, I as a human, I got attacked in the past from storms, from wind levels which were storm levels, so the huge trees like you see in the background just got destroyed. And the creatures which are here in the area, which are using the weather control to trigger and canalize the wind. Can you agree to the fact that you could found that I was attacked in the past with biological animal bodies, with human bodies which went on my nerves, which were controlled by such creatures which have lived as human beings before, which have lost their own human body, by weather, so by storm level. Can you make that clear for the audience? Have you seen it? Could you find it? The attack by weather, storm level? Yes. Can you trigger the wind a little bit to make that more clear? So these creatures, they want to agree. They're going to canalize more wind now to the area. You can see that the leaves are more shaking, and now the wind tool is lifting up because more wind is reaching the place. And with that, the creatures do agree to that they could see that and could analyze that. So they're agreeing to that for you, the people which are watching the video, that you get there another feedback. So I'm going to drink a little bit of Coke, otherwise I will be unable to keep on speaking. And the video became much longer than I wanted it. So right now, I'm more or less in the situation, I'm searching for a place to live. Because I have to leave a place where I lived before. The people got afraid because of attacks. And other people got attacked there. So that is more my reality in my life. So when I'm in an area, it can happen that such creatures, so ghosts, how other people will call that, do attack humans. Because they want to communicate with me or because they want to attack me. And therefore I'm searching at the moment for a place where I could live in the future. I'm not financially so rich, and where not too many other people do live. So an area where I can live quite alone. So in a forest area or in a very green area, something like that. And because if there are less people in the area where I am, the risk is lower that people in the area where I am get attacked, or their human body is getting used to communicate with me. If that is happening, those people often do not even realize that. So they don't feel pain at that moment in time. At that moment in time, they do not realize that if that's happening. But with my knowledge and with all the stuff I have heard from such creatures which have lived as human beings before, which are in the situation that they have lost their own human body, and that they can look back at their life and that they realize what was maybe done to their own human body and that they feel raped today, of course I do not want that interaction as well. If not necessary, I don't want that. If it's not an emergency, whatever, there's no argument to think it is a good communication way. Because these people, these creatures which are born in their human body, they get raped at that moment in time with their human body. And that's maybe how they're going to see it later, after they lost their human body and after they can realize and see that. Because I want nothing to do with that shit. If people can realize that, if they are connected in a way with these creatures that they can decide, okay, I'm willing to communicate or I'm not willing to communicate, then it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different because they can see much further. But if human bodies just getting used to communicate with me from such creatures, when they connect in symbiosis to other human bodies, that will lead for me to the problem that I look different at living humans when I meet them in ordinary situations on the street, because I cannot see humans anymore like humans like I have seen them before in my life. Before, a human was an individual. Today I look at human bodies just as a biomass which can get influence, which can get controlled by third creatures to speak to me. Also, what people have to understand, I'm sometimes in a situation that creatures do attack me which have lived as women before and which want to have a relationship with me. So which try to provoke a situation where they then can have a relationship with me. And sometimes they do that by the method that they do influence other female bodies. So bodies of women. And then these women do act towards me like they want to have a relationship or like they want to have sex or whatever. But that is just the body of these women, not the decision of them as creatures born in their human body as the woman we can call whoever. Okay? So that's a total mean situation if I walk through my life as well, because that did happen often, a couple of times often, and with that you are in a situation that third creatures which do not have their own human body anymore use other female bodies to flirt with you. And these human women, the creatures which were born as the woman original, they cannot decide at that moment. They don't even realize that. If I would interact in these situations with these bodies, these women wouldn't even maybe realize if they would sleep with me, because the human body is getting influenced so stupid by these third creatures. Or they would realize that they sleep with me and they would think it would be their decision, but it's not. And I already would have the knowledge from the third creature which have lived as a female before using that human body at the same moment in time. So that's totally fucked up. That's a totally stupid situation how I have to walk through my human life often as someone with third creatures which have lived as human beings before, as women which are trying to flirt with you by using such a method to use other human bodies to control them, to influence them, to overtake them in parts. Regarding a relationship with a living woman, it's very easy. The result would be, for example, there's a woman I love, but if I would meet her, her body just would get overtaken by one of them. I would be maybe not even able to speak to her. I'm not sure about that, but it's possible that there would come up a situation where her human body is getting used by a third creature which have lived as a woman before the whole time, and I wouldn't be able to speak to her. Or she wouldn't be able to see herself clear to communicate them towards me something she really wants to say, instead of something which is triggered and caused, like thoughts in her human head caused by third creatures which maybe also have lived as women before, which want to flirt with me, or which want to use her human body so that she becomes mean towards me, just that the relationship will break down. That's also possible. So it's a very complex situation I'm in, but it's very difficult to imagine how a relationship should work without that woman, for example, would be automatically raped from third creatures. That is unacceptable, of course. Also for me as a man, unacceptable. So I got forced a little bit into a life situation which is just harmful for me, where I just avoid unnecessary stress. Even if I do not see stress always as unnecessary. Let me say it like that. It's a total mean situation, and at the moment I do not have a solution for that. And I think I did try to describe you now a lot of the background informations, and there would be more for another 10 hours video material. I have a question for all of you which are watching my videos. Do you want more video material? And what is what of all the stuff I already explained to you in all the videos, what is the stuff you find interesting? And please, do not ask for more videos regarding my private life, because I will keep them very, very limited. I do not really like to speak in public about my private feelings or private situations, but of course I'm making parts of my life transparent to explain ancestors, communication with ghosts and so on, and because they can use my human body as well by connecting in symbiosis to my human body, that easily leads to very private situations, and always cross private areas if I speak about my lifetime and about my lifetime experience. Please leave a comment if you want to see more videos and what kind of videos you did like. You can find a lot of videos on CRembassy.com, and you can like and share my videos if you want to. You will find some private videos in the internet, and if in the videos you see a text that the video is private, please do not share these videos, and please do not watch them, please do not like them. But these kind of videos you can like and share, and you find more videos on CRembassy.com and on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching so far. Your Niall Sebastian Power Seeger.